Max Verstappen makes it 6 wins in a row at the British Grand Prix. This is a track that's hyped up for epic races. Did it deliver today? Personally, no. It was alright, and I feel like you look at this season and it could go from the most bang average, dominating season for Red. But if you just took Verstappen out of this championship, man, you would literally not have an idea about who's going to win it. Realistically, yes, right? Perez should win it because he's in the fastest car and it is the fastest car by certain margins. But the guy has missed it on Q3 for 5 races in a row. And literally now we're seeing in recent weeks with teams bringing upgrades. McLaren, quite clearly, I think, second fastest car this weekend. Then followed by Mercedes. Ferrari, over a lap, probably third. Ferrari, they're a weird one, man. The race pace is horrendous. And Aston Martin, man. What is going on with Aston Martin? And it just shows you, right? Lance Stroll's inability as a fucking racing driver is going to shaft Aston Martin in this championship. They should, I'm not saying they should have second wrapped up, but they should have a pretty healthy cushion in second place. I wouldn't be surprised if McLaren beat them in the drivers, and people may laugh at that statement. See, come after Abu Dhabi, the way this McLaren's going, I have way more faith in Piastri delivering better performances to Norris than what Stroll can do to Alonso. And I think this race is pretty evident of that. Lance Stroll was absolutely awful, man, forcing people off the track, yada, yada, yada. But into the race we went. The McLaren's decent enough start. Norris gets the jump on Verstappen. I'm not a fan of him practically just letting Verstappen through. But see, at the end of the day, does he want to waste too much time battling Verstappen on lap 6 or whatever it was? Probably not. I think that's just the sad state that we're in F1, that he thinks he can't actually defend against him. But yeah, we've seen that. And then we've seen Esteban Ocon retire. And then after this, Hamilton overtakes Alonso. Perez isn't really making ground way through this field. He's just sitting there, overtaking the likes of... He overtook Ocon, overtaking Stroll, not doing anything mental. Verstappen, the gap between him and the McLaren's about 2 seconds. Then he pulled it to about 8 seconds. And then we get to about lap 30. Leclerc's pitted for hards. Ferrari, I do not know what their strategy was today, man. Honestly, they completely and utterly botched it big time. And I think the key point is here, George Russell pits at lap 30, lap 31 for a set of soft tyres, which then begs the question of why are McLaren, when the safety car comes out for Kevin Magnussen, why are they putting on the hard tyres? You've just seen Russell do 30 laps on the softs, right? And his pace compared to everyone around him, apart from the top 3, which was the 2 McLarens and the Red Bull, but then again I've just explained how Mercedes were not on their pace. I don't understand why McLaren put Lando Norris on the hards. I'm not saying if Lando Norris goes on the softs, right, he wins this race. Absolutely not. But he would have had a much more comfortable time against Hamilton. And hell, maybe he could, with the pace of the McLaren heating up their tyres, maybe he could have put a bit of a, fight against Verstappen on the opening 1 or 2 laps of that restart. But we'll never know. But as for the race, yeah. Ocon, he's out. Magnussen out. Then Gasly had to retire. Awful race for Alpine. Lance Stroll, like I said, gets a 5-second time penalty for actually wiping my guy out of the race. I think it's a pretty lenient penalty. Probably should have got more for it. So the top of the grid, we've got Verstappen from Norris, Hamilton, Oscar Piastri. Really good weekend for him. Got shafted big time by the safety car. Actually surprised in the end that he managed to hold on. And then we've seen George Russell in 5th. Sergio Perez managing to overtake Alonso and Albon late on. Then with Alonso, Albon, and then Ferrari 9th and 10th. Like, what if Ferrari... I don't know, no matter what Ferrari do, it just seems like they took a step forward in Austria. Looked like the second fastest car. And then this weekend, absolutely awful, man. The safety car comes out, they pit Leclerc, but they keep Sainz out. You have to pit both of them. Honestly, man, I don't see how they fought pitting. Now, maybe you could look at where Leclerc's finished compared to Sainz and think, well, it's not actually too much of a disaster, because how much could he really have done better? But I don't know, man. You look at Ferrari and what is going on. It just seems like McLaren have been able to become the second fastest team after 2 races of upgrades. It just shows you how much the other 3 teams have dropped the ball. If Aston Martin, Ferrari or Mercedes took the strides forward that McLaren have in the last 2 races, they'd be faster than Red Bull. Because McLaren at the start of this season were the slowest car. And how can these teams not produce? Teams that have got way more resources, have been a part of the big 3 for ages in Ferrari and Mercedes. They're dropping the ball. But you know what? I'm happy to see McLaren up there. But I think what the problem is, we're probably going to see with about 6 races to go. These 4 teams, maybe not overtake Red Bull, but be on par with Red Bull, because Red Bull have shifted focus to next year's car. Probably, I mean, they've already done it. I believe they said they were going to do it after this race. So yeah, bit of a disaster that way. But I'm intrigued to see McLaren is the second fastest car. But you've got to beg the question, what the other 3 doing? Honestly. But anyway, guys, that's got to do it for this race. It was pretty entertaining, no disputing that. But I just feel like with Verstappen leading it, it would just been so much better if he was not in this race. And you could argue that about every single race. I understand that, but you've Norris against Hamilton, and it's an alright battle, but it needs to be for first, doesn't it? It really does need to be for first. But anyway, who would I give my star drive to today? I'd probably give it to Lando Norris, but then he's in the Hamilton. I actually don't know who I'd give it to be honest. I mean, Alexander Albon beating 2 Ferraris on pace. You know what? We'll give it to Albon. Fuck it. We'll give it to Alexander Albon, guys. But anyway, till next time. Peace.